Yo, I just want to show you the best beer money app that I've tried so far for this year called Freecash. I've earned a little over 330 bucks from it now, just using it on and off. Now, Freecash has been around for a fairly long time now, and it's definitely one of the more well-known beer money apps out there. If you've been around beer money for a fair bit now, you've probably seen a lot of ads for Freecash or a fair amount of ads. Now, the reason why I call Freecash the best app is because it has so many ways of earning, as well as different ways of earning. And it has some of the highest paying games, if not the highest paying games that I've seen in beer money app, as well as like a lot of like different games to choose from. Now, if there is one app that I'd recommend to someone who is new into beer money or only has one phone or only wants to use one app for now, this is definitely the one. It's like a fair distance apart from like another app that I'd recommend for a first app. Now, even though I'm singing the praises for Free Cash, it definitely still has a couple flaws and like gripes that I have, which I'll cover a little later in the video. If you're a new user downloading this app, there is one flaw at the very beginning. It's kind of a barrier of entry, which we'll get to in a second. So let's get to my phone screen. Alright, really quick before I start, if anyone's curious on what beer money apps they use or cash out from, I do have a monthly earnings page on my blog where I show what I cash out from every single month. I do plan to make videos on this channel just talking a little more about beer money and what I plan to do with beer money, like investing, trading stocks, crypto, or whatever else I plan to do. Those will be linked in the description if anyone's curious. Now, if you're a new user, your app should look something like this. This is kind of the barrier of entry. You have limited access to the app, and your way to earn will only be from games. To get full access, I needed about 20 bucks total from games. Not sure if this is the case for everyone. I did hear that in like certain countries, or depending on where you live, it might not be 20 bucks, but at least for me in the US, it was 20 bucks. Now, you only have one game offer at the start. This is kind of traditional for a lot of beer money offers that offer games these days. Once you download the first game, and you go back to the app, you should have about 4 to 5 different game offers to choose from. Now, these games do rotate every couple of hours, every single day. All these games are multi-level reward games. If you're not too familiar with them, they're basically games that pay you to play them. They have a set task list. Every task will pay you a certain amount when you complete them, and the further down you get into the list, the more it pays and the more difficult the task will be. You also do need to be a new user for these when you do these offers. So if you downloaded the game on the phone that you plan to do this offer or these offers on, it will already see that you're not a new user anymore and it won't track for you, which means that you're not going to earn for them. Now, a lot of these games you'll get are what I kind of call fodder games. They're basically games that are very heavy mobile influence. And what I mean by that is there are going to be games that are either very RNG dependent with lives to them, like Candy Crush or any matching game. Some city builders that have like a long time for you to build certain buildings, or basically any game that has like a type of currency that gives you like stamina or energy that restore over time and kind of limit your progress to continue. Which means that you won't get very far into these games and you won't really get too far in the list, so you won't really earn that much for them. Now, I'm just gonna put on screen 2 strategies that I kind of recommend. Probably recommend the first one just because it's a little more or a little lower effort compared to the second one, which is a little more patience. But these are 2 of the strategies that I'd probably recommend for hitting your goal. You don't have to follow them, it's just suggestions. I'll try to go into more detail about these 2 strategies on the blog or the written review of this, as well as list more games. Now, I do want to mention a pretty good rule of thumb when it comes to these game offers is if you're not too sure about it, usually a good option is to Google the offer, and you'll usually find a lot of the offers talked about on the Swagbucks subreddit for some reason. I don't know why it's usually on there, but a lot of people will talk about it there, and you can kind of get like a idea of how difficult the task might be or what to kind of expect from them. It won't be super accurate just because a lot of these beer money apps will have the same game, but the task list will be a little different across all of them. It just gives you a good enough idea or a decent enough idea. I will also be coming out with guides very soon for a lot of these games that I do, whether I get super far into them or just not very far at all, just to give like a decent idea of what to kind of expect on like how grindy it might be, the resources I use or resources that I plan to or that I would use or would have used or any place that I would recommend for finding more resources, and hopefully make the offer a little easier for anyone who wants to do them. Alright, now we're on to the full app. Just to show you really quick, I've earned 335 bucks and 31 cents lifetime earnings. Freecash also has a daily streak, and you have to earn at least 1 cent a day for it to count for the streak, Once you do that, you'll be able to spin a wheel that lets you earn extra money. Now, I did have a 126-day streak. 124 days out of those, I earned 1 to 3 cents, and those rest of the 2 days, I earned 50 cents. Just mentioning this just because there's no real benefit to having a long streak, and your chances to earn more from this wheel doesn't really go up. So you don't really have to worry about keeping your streak going if you can't or you're too lazy like me. They also have a sweepstake that they run every week, once a week, and you earn free tickets by earning like every 1 cent that you earn on the app. There are a daily way to earn if you go to your my offers and then you go to the mini games, and there should be 4 different games that you can play. There is a dot link one, a memory match, a top match or a tap match, and a daily word. I tend to avoid daily word. I also tend to avoid doing the sweepstakes just because I feel like my chances to win are kind of difficult, and a lot of people do earn a lot of money, so people usually have more tickets than me. Now, Freecash also offers a lot of different game offers for you to earn and choose from. You can see all your game offers that are available to you by hitting View All under the Gaming Offers. It'll bring you to a page of all the offers that are available to you. All these games are multi-level reward games. If you click on one of them, it'll usually show you what the task list is, and it'll show you the time limit usually on the right side. If it doesn't, you can scroll back up to the very top and hit Details. And if you scroll down to description, usually it'll show you how long you have. As you can see right here, you have 30 days to complete all the tasks or as many as you can. Sometimes it won't show you, and you can usually assume that it's either 30 days to 60 days. There are the rare times that it will be more than 60 days, or sometimes there's no time limit to them. It's very rare, but it can happen. Something nice about these games is a lot of these game offers, the tasks that they have seem fairly doable compared to other offers that you'll see in different beer money apps. I'm not saying all of them are achievable, just compared to other ones. Now, usually when you have a game offer that asks you to make an in-game purchase, it will force you to make an in-game purchase before you can continue on to the next task. So for example, let's say you reach garden level 3, and the next task after that is to buy the battle pass or some type of in-app purchase. Now, even if you get to the garden level 7, it won't count it just because you haven't made the purchase. The nice thing about Freecash is it doesn't force you to do this. Usually they might separate the task on the very bottom, or they'll have it at the top or something, which is super nice. Now let's just go back, and if we scroll back all the way to the top, you see a filter option. If you hit that, you see the search option. Now the important thing to be cautious about the search option is, as I mentioned earlier, some of these games will rotate for availability on when you can start them throughout the day and every couple of hours. And the important thing about this is, let's say you want to do Palmon Survive, but you don't see it in the list right here, and you search for it. Sometimes the search function will show games that are not available to start, and it'll still show up on the search option, even if you search for it. The problem with this is, let's say you download the game, Palmon Survive, and it's not available at the time, but you found it through the search function. It will flag you as not a new user anymore, which locks you from earning from the app. It will still show up on your My Offers, but when you try to earn from it, it just won't track it, and like I said, it just blocks you from kind of earning from the app. So just try to be a little careful with the search option. You can cross-reference to see if the offer is available, but usually there's a lot of different offers to look from, and some of these games will have multiple different offers that pay you a different amount and have a different set of tasks and stuff. And it's just really annoying. Just to be safe, I tend to avoid using the search function, but just try to be careful when you do. Freecash also has other offers, and usually this tab will show you what non-gaming offers that you can earn from. Usually these will be services. You'll get paid to sign up for certain services, or non-gaming apps like banking apps or investing apps. I don't know why they threw in the casino apps in here, because a lot of them are also in the gaming offers tab. But I will say a lot of these offers you'll see from time to time, especially the banking or investing apps, are some of the highest that I've seen. So it might be worth keeping an eye out on them, just to see if the offer pops back up every couple of weeks or every couple of days. Just an important thing to keep in mind, if you do want to sign up for any of the investing apps or banking apps, you usually will need a social security number. You only have one of those, so you might as well get paid the most. So, if you can find the highest paying offer for a certain investing app or banking app, might as well do it. Just saying that Freecash usually has some of the highest offers that I've seen. As for the casino apps, I do recommend against them just because I feel like they are a lot harder to complete these days compared to back then, but that's just my opinion. Freecash also offers a lot of different surveys for you to choose from on a daily basis. I will say a lot of them are, or at least a fair amount of them, are pretty short and fast to do, pretty decent paying, or if not like super high paying. Sometimes we get like slightly longer ones that are actually really well paying. Now, I will say the downside of having so many surveys is the disqualification rate is a little high. I'm not saying that it's the highest, but it definitely is a little high. That's kind of the trade-off for having so many surveys. And the reason why a lot of different survey sites will have less surveys is because it's more geared towards your demographics, which slightly lowers the disqualification rate that you'll usually get. This isn't a super big problem. I still like doing the surveys on here. If you don't mind doing surveys, definitely an app that I'd recommend adding to your survey list or your survey routine. You usually almost never run out of surveys to do. If you get to the very bottom, you do see 4 different offer walls that they have for more surveys. I'm just going to mention really quick, the year surveys is pretty much this whole page right here. I don't know why they have it as a like an offer wall. So if you click on this, it'll just take you back to this page essentially with all these surveys. So you don't really have to worry about it. But if you go on any of these offer walls, they also have a ton of other surveys for you to choose from. So just having this app, you almost never run out of surveys to do if you don't mind doing surveys. For these offer walls, they'll also pay you like the special currency that Freecash used to have, which I don't really remember the name of it, but the conversion rate is 1,000 to 1. So this 4,780 to whatever currency it is will pay you $4.78, which is pretty high for a 11-minute survey. And like I said, you usually find a lot of these really nice high-paying surveys on here. Definitely recommend this app for survey enjoyers. Now, I'll go into more detail on these offer walls on my written version of this review, but at the very least, I'll talk about one of my favorite offer walls on here, which is this wall. It's essentially the same as any other offer wall on here, where it offers you games and services that you can sign up for or apps that you can sign up for. At the very top, it also offers you these quizzes that you can do, and when you earn 100 coins from doing these quizzes, you'll be able to earn about 6 cents from them. But the main thing that I want to point you to are these watch and earn things. And when you click on these, it's going to bring up a new window, and then you're going to have to copy the link that it gives you into your browser, either like Safari or Chrome. Just make sure it's not like a Brave browser or some type of browser that blocks ads from popping up. And once you go into that site that it gives you the link for, you can just click on any video and it'll play the video, or it'll just autoplay videos for you for like the whole day. And you'll just essentially earn passively from just doing this. It's just one of those things that's like a set and forget type of thing. Unfortunately, it's not a very common thing in the beer money scene anymore, just because they've taken that away. Which is super nice to see on these offer wall pages, especially this wall. Now, there is a downside to this, which is it's not always going to be available to you. On certain days or random days of the week, it will just go out of availability, and then the next day it might be available, or sometimes it might not be available for like 2 or 3 days. And you usually know when it's not available when you get like a pop-up message at the very top, like a kind of warning message saying like don't use a VPN or something. You shouldn't really worry too much about it. It just means that like it's not available in the country for that day or those couple of days. It is a downside. You won't earn a ton from it, but it is a nice thing to have when you don't really want to do surveys or game offers, or you just want to set something down and forget about it. Just make sure you charge your phone every couple of hours when it's needed. It doesn't really drain that much power, but just keep an eye on it every so often. So this is probably my least favorite section on Freecash. This is kind of the gambling section. You can get here by going to the Cashout tab and then arcade at the very top. So you have kind of 2 options. The first one are the cases, and all the cases will cost $1.30 to get in. And the difference with every case is you can see like low risk, medium risk, and high risk. The more riskier you go, the higher the rewards you can get, but also the higher chance that you will like either lose money or just get no money from this. I personally never do these. I'm not a big fan, but if you want to do it and you want to gamble a little bit, feel free to. The second one are these wheels down here. The first wheel will earn you $1, the second one will earn you $2, and then the third one will earn you $4.
And, the first one will cost 11 cents, and the second is 44, and the last one will be 55 cents. And each one will have a certain amount of places that you can go into. And if we check on the first wheel right here, you'll see at the very bottom, if it brings it up, we'll just use this one. You have to enter in from the very bottom, and it's going to cost you 44 cents per slot, and there's only 5 slots right here. So some people used to, or still, would just enter in enough spots where they still profit and like take up as many like slots as they can. And sometimes, they'll just sit here waiting for anyone else to join in, just taking up all the slots, and they kind of just rig the system a little bit just because, they're taking up the highest probability that they can while not losing money. And, let's just say they take out like 5 out of the 6 slots and you only have 1 slot left. You're going one entry versus their 5 entries. They just have a higher chance to win. I'm personally not a big fan of this, and some people just monopolize it like that sometimes. But if you want to gamble, feel free to check this page out, I guess. Now let's move on to the cash outs. This page is a little buggy. Um, so if I counted correctly, in the cash outs page, you should have about 12 different options to cash out from. You have your main ones like PayPal, Venmo, Google, Play, Amazon, Apple, the Visa paid card, bank transfer, and you have a couple crypto options right here. Now, I will say for any of the non-gift card like cash outs like PayPal and Venmo and like the bank transfer, they are a 5% fee, which is kind of high for these types of cash outs. I'm not a big fan of it. So usually the suggested like cash out would be, either the stake one right here or with Litecoin, which has the lowest fee, if I remember correctly. Um, but mainly people would recommend the stake one right here. And if you don't have a stake account, you can sign up through Freecash, and it'll give you like $30 for free. Apparently, I haven't done this yet, but I plan to very soon. And you also get a 30% bonus for cashing out with stake. This is probably the highest bonus that I've seen for any cash out, which is pretty nice. Cashing out and then getting like a 30% extra bonus on your cash outs, just basically free money. Um, but if you do choose to cash out with stake, you do need to also verify your account with the stake site, which requires a ID verification. I think I'll have to update this part in my blog section whenever I um, get to doing this. But you also need, I think, $50 minimum to cash out with stake, which is a bit high, but that's kind of the trade off of getting 30%. I will also mention Stake is a gambling website. We're only using it to cash out if you're, worried that you're going to gamble or something, or worried about the addiction. Maybe not use it. You can always go with like Litecoin or something, or you can go with any of the other offers like PayPal or Venmo, which do have a 5% fee, like I said, but Litecoin and Stake will have a way lower fee. Now, here's a quick cash out that I did. It's not a very recent one. I've been meaning to cash out with this with stake, but I just haven't set it up yet. I'll get a more up to date cash out in like the next week or two on the written version of the blog. I just haven't gotten to it, like I said.
All right, I just want to talk about some of the gripes that I kind of have with free cash. The first one being the obvious 20 or the barrier of entry of $20 or however much it is for you, depending on like where you are. If they even change the amount. I'm just not a big fan of it. You're only locked to being able to earn from games, which is kind of annoying. And a lot of these games that you'll get in the beginning are going to be what I like to call the fodder games. Just basically games that are mobile games that make mobile games. It's just basically games that punish you for being like a free to play player or someone who doesn't want to spend money, just making it like really hard to progress in the game. And when progression is kind of hard, you're just not going to get very far in these like game offers and tasks and stuff. So you're just not going to earn a lot. You can still earn. It's just you're not going to earn a lot compared to another app that or another game offer that they give you that is more fair to do or more worth doing. And occasionally you will get one of these games that are fairly doable and you'll get fairly far into it. But like in the early stages, you're just not going to get a lot of these game offers. Now, for the second gripe that I have is I feel like creating a support ticket is just non-existent. Like a lot of the support tickets that I've had to make, I've still had the contact support just telling them, hey, I haven't had my ticket checked on yet, and it's been like a week or two. And that's usually the only way that they'll check on my tickets. And, there are times that I still have my tickets checked on and like resolved without having the contact support, but there's just been so many times where I still had to contact support to get my ticket, like, fixed or something, or even looked at or resolved or whatever. And sure, you might be thinking, why not just contact support? And you can. It's just the problem is when you always contact support but you don't have a ticket, they're just gonna say, "Oh, just make a ticket." And when they tell you that, and then you have to contact support just to get your ticket resolved, I just don't see a point in making a ticket. Like I don't know. That's just my opinion. The third gripe, not really too much of a gripe, but I just feel like this app kind of pushes towards gambling a little indirectly in crypto. Like, crypto's not a bad thing. It's just, I'm not a big fan of doing crypto. And, one example of that is when you try to cash, or if you want to cash out from PayPal or the bank transfer or Venmo or just basically anything that's non crypto, there is a 5% fee, which is kind of high. It's not the highest fee that I've seen, but it is decently high compared to like a lot of other beer money sites. And the crypto ones just seem a little more favorable. The fees are a lot less than 5%. And, even stake, you have the 30% increase bonus. And stake is one of the more it's probably the biggest gambling site out there. And, if you have addictions or you have I don't know, a draw to trying to gamble, it just feels like it pushes it indirectly with that 30% increase bonus. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal. It's just, I'm not a big fan of it. And, it also has those arcade games where the wheels and the cases that you're just gambling your money that you earn from there, just hopefully get more money. I'm not a big fan of it, but like I said, this isn't that big of a problem. I'm just gonna move on to what I would say are the best ways to earn on this app. The first one is definitely the games. If you scroll through the list, you usually get like a ton of different game offers compared to like a lot of other beer money apps that don't really offer as many games on a daily basis for you to be able to start. And a lot of these game offers are some of the highest that I've seen for certain games. A lot of them also feel like, just looking through a couple of the tasks, I haven't looked through all of them, but a lot of them do seem like fairly doable, especially for the ones that aren't the fodder games. And it also doesn't force you to really spend money on certain games. Like, there might be a couple game offers out there that might force you to make an in-game purchase, but a lot of the ones that I've done haven't forced me to do in-game purchases, which is super nice. And I would also suggest doing the surveys. You also get a ton of different surveys every day, and from time to time, with so many surveys being available to you, you're definitely gonna have like a higher chance of getting really quick surveys that pay a decent amount, or even longer surveys that pay like a high amount. They're not the best surveys that I've tried out of like survey apps, but it's definitely up there, just with how many surveys it has and just going through the list of what offers you can get. And the third way would probably be the offer wall. There's probably other offer walls that I haven't really explored as much as the offer wall, but on the offer wall, you have the quizzes that you can kind of do like almost whenever you want. You also have the videos, which is probably my favorite part in the offer wall. Even though the videos aren't going to be available to you every single day, there might be days that you don't get as many like ads. But it is very nice to have a source of earning from ads. This used to be a bigger thing back in the day for beer money apps, but it's just not that big of a thing anymore for beer money apps, because a lot of apps that used to have those, or a lot of other beer money sites that used to have these video watching for passive earning, just kind of went away and were taken out. Just gonna close this review with some of my closing thoughts. Would I recommend this app? Definitely. As I mentioned in the beginning, if there is one app that I would recommend to someone who's a new user in beer money, who had only one phone, or only wants to use one app, this is definitely on the top of my list for recommendations. It just feels like it has so many different ways of earning, and like the vast amount of like offers that you have in one app, as well as the vast amount of like surveys, the games, you have a ton of offer walls. It just feels like you can always do something to earn on the app instead of having to wait for a good survey to pop up, or wait for a good game offer to pop up. And even if you have to wait on Freecash, there's still other ways to earn on the app compared to like other beer money apps that you might have to check in on every couple of hours just to see if there's a offer that you could do to earn from. And as I mentioned in the very beginning, this app is my best app that I have for 2025 as a beer money app. It just has so many nice things to it. The vast amount of offers, um, the 30% cash out or increase or bonus, whatever you want to call it, like the bonus pay that they have for cashing out with stake, super nice. It's not too much else to say. If I forget anything, those will be on the blog. I'll continue to update the blog the more I can as I use the app a little more throughout the year and next year or whatever. But if you want to support me, I'll have my referral link in the description. If you want any other beer money apps to try out, feel free to check out the other reviews that I have on this channel or the blog or even my monthly reviews, just to see what apps I continue to use every single month and kind of see how the months went for certain apps for me. But anyways, I'm going to get back to playing some Suikoden. Take care.